I hope this live goes. We'll see. But I want to shoot it. I've actually been welding and fabricating today. I want to make this because actually it's Americans, American followers, who tagged me in this, and it was 15 hours ago now. It's no concern to me because I live on the Gold Road, northern Alberta, very up high. I'll put it to you all this way. This is for all Americans. I live closer by a factor of 4 to Russia than I do the capital of Canada. I have to go more than 2,800 miles to Ottawa. That's how far I got to go. Americans can't really put that in perspective, to be honest. U.S. and Canada both are large countries width-wise, but Americans, you have to do so many states, right, to get to Washington. I am closer, very much closer, very close, 1 day drive, right to the Bering Strait. 1 day. Less than 1 day, I'm there. I'm there. Rough roads, all of it. And then I hit a highway. Rough roads in Canada, on the Gold Road, there's a good highway. There's some rough roads, and then, boom, bombs away. I'm right there at the Bering Strait. 26 kilometers. That's what we're talking about in airspace that U.S. and Russia share. In fact, they're 5 kilometers apart. NORAD caught it in Alaska. Do you know what NORAD didn't catch? All of Canada right across the whole north, all the way so far across, straight north of Maine. NORAD didn't catch any of Russia's activity over Canada. In fact, as I've always told all of you, Russia can take Poseidon, the most advanced nuclear submarine, could take that all the way and literally drop a nuclear wave on Ottawa. That's a fact. Go through the Hudson Bay, Papawi. You're done. You're done. Get into the Great Lakes too. Really, honestly, Russia could probably get that far. That's how pathetic Canada is. And if any American ever wants to know, I published in November for all Americans, all Canadians, I gave you the military districts. Yes, Americans, you are a massively advanced district system. You understand your electoral districts when you're going to elections, but you have layers and layers and layers, including military districts, that span Canada. Unfortunately, Canada has no military districts, none whatsoever, in not only all northern provinces, but effectually, absolutely all territories. There's no military command, none whatsoever. Their furthest station is Manitoba. There's a science station out there. Other than that, it's very, very pathetic indeed. What you don't know, sharing such a close border with Russia, Russia is just as close as a neighbor to you than Canada and Mexico. I don't know why Americans don't know this. You're separated by a sliver. I could swim it. I could swim from your northernmost western base. I could swim physically if the waters were calm on that particular day in the summer. I could swim right to the Russian base and back. At my age, I could do that. I could do that and survive that. And I mean, we've all seen the waves on a crashing, brutal Arctic day, but I'm talking about a calm, summer, navigatable day. At my age, I could swim that and back. Of course, nobody's allowed to do that. Not a Canadian, you couldn't do that, but I'm just saying, physically, I'm capable of doing that. That's how easy it is. In fact, I presented a presentation to both the American government and the Russian government. Yes, I did. I did that in Ottawa, both embassies. I gave a presentation on a barge system for trade Russia USA. I did that a year ago, and I actually challenged Elon Musk's bullshit tunnel system that he brags about, billions of dollars, and then they just proved that he was absolutely ineffectual and it's not possible with the shifting ice. So I proved that, myth busted that, give a 4-month scenario of travel between them, relatively cheap and effectual. So far, neither side is interested. And if you want to know why I'd want to do that, it's the unbelievable resources between Alaska and then the Russian oblasts there. There's two, in fact, and one's like the British Columbia of Canada that's relatively, absolutely unknown to Americans and Russians in history. That's British Columbia. That's a British asset where Americans and Russians never really impacted. But Russia flying in and around there, red alert, red alert. That's a joke. Again, it's a sliver hair. And I know I live on the Gold Road that goes right through the Yukon to Alaska. The one Trump brags about, talks about the mountains. Lived there all my life, pretty much grew up there. Been up that highway, been all the way through, did that trek. And, you know, one of these days I am actually going to make the crossover into Alaska. It's kind of like Alaska, Hawaii, and there's a couple others there that I'm going to have to do individually, but I will do them. I'm at 34 states of the Union now. It should be pretty good when I finish off the rest. It was a great trip I just had in the southern states. Unbelievable. The Ozark, all of it. I loved it. But don't get your bunches in a knot over the Bering Strait and Alaska, because literally it's like a border with Mexico or a border with Canada. For Americans, it's a sliver. It's a short jaunt, narrow sea space. I don't know how people don't know this, but it's true. You're effectually neighbors, no different than Canada and Mexico. Absolutely not, just by having the state of Alaska, because Alaska was Russian. In fact, at one time, Russia went all the way down through California. I don't know if people know the history. Russia Trading Company. Oh, yeah. Before the 13 colonies marched across, Russia had all of that, all the way down to Mexico. Oh, yeah. Yeah, they did. Military installations, trading posts. They didn't colonize. Did they brutalize the native population? Sure. Much the same way the Americans did in their infancy, but they did not colonize, just like Americans did not colonize. And there's a big difference between that, and I think a lot of folks just are very ignorant. They don't understand the difference between Russia and USA versus the rest of the European reality. And it does bother me and scare me that no matter what happens with USA or Russia, when they fly planes in Alaska or they fly planes in any of those two oblasts, they will always be on each other's radar. It's just because it became active, which is probably because of Poseidon. That's my guess. And another thing that you should get from this video is that NORAD Canada had nothing. And if Americans ever want to know, all you have to do is look up military districts, yours, and you're going to be like, holy crap, our military districts overlap Canada big time. And then when you look up Canada's military districts, you go, bleh, what the hell? That's Canada? Have not changed since 1867, and they do not cover any of that space. Literally, skidoos, dog sled, joke. No bases, one science installation that's non-military. We can't even get to our Arctic without the much smaller country Norway giving us a lift. That's your Canada. And if you trust that Mark Carney's going to bring the military to a 2% GDP, ASAP, elbows up, you've been royally manipulated, bamboozled, and tricked. More than that, a 5%? Blah! Don't make me laugh. I gave a video on it today for everybody, just in Indonesia. Look at what Canada's going to procure tax-free for China under WTO, World Trade Organization, just like WEF, and 26 more besides those two. All palace of nations, all anti-American, and I'm sorry, anti-Russian too. Now, I see Trump for what he is. I see the media, American, Canadian, and everybody else for what it is, and I think all of you do too. Trump's no fool. I love what he's doing, and congratulations again, Americans, on getting China for the first time in decades to give up, at least with the USA, and anybody else who benefits with the new trading agreement with China, that now they don't get developing nation status under the WTO. This will not be the truth for Canada ever, not till at least almost 2050. So Canadians, you can forget about it. We'll never be like America, and we're never going to get there. Unless, in the title of this video, Canada the 51st state, that is the only logical solution said by Trump way back, way in December. If folks don't see it now, I don't know what to tell you. But Americans who don't get it, if you want that security, you're going to need to see Canada's State of the Union, and you're going to need to be part of that migration experience, like in all of your history of statehood and annexation where the people chose, because nobody's forced. That's a lie the British imparted through Oxford definitions to all cuckoldy Canadians, Kanakas, who can't see straight or even read an ounce of American truth and history, published for the whole world. But when you hate America, that's what you get when you're raised that way and you're dumbed down and you're institutionalized. Sorry, Americans, that's what happens. District models, not provinces. It will be district models. There's UK-USA treaties that really rip apart all the provinces automatically. Canadians don't know anything about this. Our elite politicians absolutely do. It's why they shit their pants so bad. But Americans, you should know this. You should know this from all states of the Union, all your series of enabling acts, and all processes for statehood. They're all the same. They're all the same, done the same way. There's no other outcome. Countries change sizes when it comes to statehood. For countries, they change dimensions, especially when they go bankrupt. And that will be the Canada reality if Canada continues on the way it is. We'll see the first effects of this April 15th, 2026 for all Americans. And Americans who still don't get it, you have to look at Canada, that 91% of its crown land. Think of your expansion, which you called the March Across the West. There was a march north and south too, and then west. I know not everybody knows all their history, but you will see many versions of statehood over these hundreds of years. And it's not going to be no different than Canada. And what's really awesome is the prosperity generation of everybody expanding north, everybody getting a chance on land locked out by an evil crown. And I don't think people get that. And for First Nations in Canada, which are the American Indians, the mass amount of land you will get in American settlements that is nowhere near anything remotely, I think, in your realm of imagination with the Canadian crown today. will be easily done and easily presented and massively amplified by the United States of America just on their precedent history with all American Indians. If you don't know this, you could expect to get, some of you can expect 200 to 500 times more land than you have right now, with absolutely self-government, self-determination, and absolutely full control of your resources. Like, think about that. And when I say that, I don't mean the 6 inches and do I get to run a plow? No, I mean like you're drilling your own oil, or you're building your own mines, or you're building your own manufacturing, and on and on and on. Nothing like the model of Canada, way outside your realm of reality, that is commonplace in the United States. Nation within a nation. That's what would happen. And large scale in Canada, many times the size of the United States settlements, because there's a lot outstanding. America can easily do this. The federal government of the United States would be like, yep, very easy, very easy. They've been evolving this way and having that done for a very long time, over 105 years, over that. They've been doing these settlements. You hear it, government after government, doesn't matter, Democrat, Republican. Donald Trump just settled a whole bunch. Because when they codify, when they say, we the Indian people, we're going to govern ourselves, we're going to do this, and you know what the federal government does? Perfect. Here you go. It's all yours. Have at her. Wow. Wow, I get the same powers as a state. Wow. I can make real money, not sit there on my hands and knees with my hands out with the corrupt chief and council system created by the crown because they are the crown. Yeah. Americans have no idea. They have no idea on so very, very much. What Russia showcased yesterday, that the only one red flag in Russia is Alaska. That's the only effect of NORAD, is Alaska. They can make it all the way through the Hudson Bay. I guarantee you. And if you don't think that's a direct threat to New York, the state of New York, you have no idea. I've talked about this many, many times. And people say, well, how do you know? All you have to do is listen from me. Military districts, United States, military districts, Canada. And you will learn the truth. And you will see all the blind spots. Russia's going, she's easy pickings. You push us, and we'll show you. That's all I'm saying. That's my video. And Americans, you can thank Canada for all of that. And if you're not 51st state, whether you're American or Canadian, you should be. If you're tired of rising costs, rising inflation, it's time to unite North America. It's time to make a new state expansion. Let's take all of North America. Let's change the world. Trump's vision is not cockamamie. He's very intelligent. He's deadly accurate. Everybody, that's my video. It lasted. I can't believe it. Share, share, share. Get it out there. God bless everybody. Bye now.